welcome back everyone to the sixth episode of the Tundra Cast. If you watched the last one, we went through the first four teams of the Atlantic Division, going in with our underrated and overrated players, couple of good takes in there, couple of good jokes. And once again, we got Coral, we got Bruh, and Guides.
I have been sitting in this room. You guys did not tell me we were doing this in two vids. I have been talking for the last, 5 days now? Come on. You guys have got to let me know what the plan is here, okay? I've been drinking milk. That's it. It's been 5 days of nothing but milk. You know how weird it is for someone to drop milk off at your apartment door with, through the app?
You know how strong your bones are going to be?
If you forget, though, if you forget it out there for 30 minutes, I'm in Georgia, man. It only gets so cold. Not cold enough for you to put your milk outside.
All right.
Well, you know what? Up here in Canada, we don't have that problem. And we don't have bottles either. So
we get bag milk, baby.
Oh my god, not the bags of milk again.
Bag milk is loaded.
Stay mad. Stay mad.
Oh, I will. It's so weird, man. Everybody knows it. The only liquid that belongs in a bag is wine.
What? You drink wine out of a bag?
He's an adult.
I'll tell you when you're older, son.
All right.
All right. So let's continue where we left off. We're now on the Montreal Canadiens, and for my underrated pick, this is a guy that for the past 2 years have gotten Selke votes. He's doesn't put up that many goals, but he can get assists. His Corsi and his family is at 60%, which is insane. And this is Philippe Deneau. He's making $3 million to be Montreal's best centerman, and he's getting 40, 50-point years, getting Selke votes, like I just said. The guy can do it all. Once again, going to use JFresh. Love his page. His even strength offense and defense both are above a 90%, which is insane. He's one of the best two-way players in the league. And he impacts his team offensively in a positive way. There might not be that much room for him anymore because they got guys like Ryan Poehling, Nick Suzuki, Jesperi Kotkaniemi coming up, which means that he has to go down the depth chart. And he is a UFA after this year, so chances are he'll get a huge pay raise and won't be from Montreal. But whoever gets him is so lucky because he's a really underrated player. And I could see him being a top 3 in the Selke next year.
Yeah.
Fair. Well, I thought about Deneau, but I also saw this guy, Ben Sherratt. Now, he is Montreal's first pairing defenseman. He plays with Shea Weber. I don't think anyone knew that. First of all, if you're not a Montreal fan.
Not a Canada fan.
Okay, yeah. We're just going to talk about how Guiz is nationalistic and not patriotic. That stuff started World War II, all right? Started World War II. Anyways, or started World War I, sorry. Anyways, so Ben Sherratt, he plays on the top line with Weber. He's playing 23 minutes a night, and his numbers are amazing, all right? 54% Corsi on the top line with Shea Weber, 21.69 games, so that's solid. He's more of a defensive guy anyway, so you don't expect him to score too much. But his advanced stats, his Fenwick, 54%. His Corsi, 54%. His defensive zone starts is at 50, which is what you expect. His expected goals against and his expected goals for, he has more goals for expected. So that's always a good indication of how much this guy has the puck and what he's doing with it, right? So I feel like no one talks about him, but he is Montreal's top pairing D-man, and he has done a really good job. He really shouldn't be a top pairing D-man, but he's taken over the role, and he's done everything he can with these, put his heart and soul into it, and it's obviously worked. And he's only paid $3.5 million. He is worth way more than that with the way he's played this season, especially.
Yeah, I have to agree. But however, I have a feeling this is a really good player, and honestly, I don't think he's talked about enough. And most of the times, he's usually viewed as a just not that great of a player. But I feel like he's a solid second line, could be a top line player in his final years, and that's Thomas Tatar. He was a great player for Detroit in their I'm still trying to make the playoffs and break this record for 24 years or something like that kind of time.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately he got stuck with Toronto, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna go back to Detroit, and it was too late because Detroit had already become terrible again. And then he went to Vegas, and Vegas. I'm not saying Vegas is bad. Vegas didn't use Tatar as what they needed. They wanted to use Tatar as like a third liner. I mean, he's played like 14 and a half minutes. I think he was playing like third line, and I think he was playing on the power play, and that's why he was up a little bit.
And he only
Goes
got
to Montreal. They use him as he's supposed to. He goes back to 58 to almost 60 points in the 2018-2019 season. And this year, I feel like if he would have been pushing real close to point per game because he was getting hot towards the end of towards the break.
And also, he never played on Toronto, by the way.
It says TOT.
TOT is in Toronto.
That's total teams like.
Oh, that's the whole year. I'm sorry. I didn't read. I just, I see TO when I just see hot garbage.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
I didn't even read it. I didn't miss the R. I'm sorry.
And just speaking about Tatar on Vegas, you're right. They didn't even use him correctly. He only got like 6 points in 20 games, which isn't like him. And he barely even played in the playoff run, like 6 games. So, yeah, he really broke out in Montreal, returned to form.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think and I don't know what it was. I mean, he got a lot of they tried to use him as I think as like an energy like scoring line in Vegas because he got most of his starts were in the offensive zone.
Yeah.
I think it was like 53-54% of his were offensive zone starts, and he tried. But I really as much as I'm not a fan of Montreal, I only like Vancouver as far as Canada is concerned.
Wow.
But
I
think he's a great fit for Montreal. Does he play second line minutes up there? That's what it looks like.
He plays first line minutes.
He plays first line minutes because he's only putting up 16 minutes, and honestly, I feel like if he gets another 2 minutes, this is an easy point per game player.
Yeah,
if he gets a little more ice time, I think if he gets true first line minutes, this guy's gonna be scary.
And also, do you only like Vancouver because they riot like you Americans down there?
No. I will say that I like Vancouver because they got a young team. Though, however, I'd like to say the acquisition of the terrible goaltender Braden Holtby has not helped their stock.
Oh, they're garbage now because Jim Benning.
They lost everyone.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
All right. Anyways, it's your turn now,
I have to say my underrated, and I have to agree with Shay here. I think it's Philippe Deneau. I don't really have much to add there. Just that he's, his Corsi and Fenwick were amazing this year, and that I think he's super undervalued.
I'd have to agree with that. Yeah.
Overrated?
No,
underrated.
No. I know. I'm just saying.
Overrated
now.
All right, here we go. Here we go. Overrated, and Habs fans keep hyping this kid up, but every time I see him play, he sucks. I don't care what you say.
I'm gonna get my bunker right now.
I do not like Kotkaniemi at all. All right.
Should I take him?
Just because he went in the top 3 does not mean he has elite potential. There's a reason why the scouts had him around 20th in the 18 draft, I think. Yes. I mean, rookie year, okay, solid, 34 points, 79 games. This year, he only had 8 and 36. Got sent down to the AHL. Honestly, didn't really play well down there. Give away to takeaway ratio garbage. He only won 40% of his faceoffs, and the fact that he's touted to be the future first-line center, that's not great at all. His Corsi and Fenwick is awful, and he's supposed to have elite offensive skill. He really didn't show it at all during the whole season. I mean, even in the playoffs, 4 points in 10 games. I mean, you kind of want a bit more from your young so-and-so star. I think he got loaned to the Finnish league, and even there he's struggling. I don't know why Montreal fans love him so much. I think Suzuki is way better than him. I see Suzuki being a better first-line center.
So do I.
And, Kotkaniemi is so overrated. Honestly, for me, I think he's, at best, a low-end second-line center or a very good third-line center. I just don't see the potential for him to be a first-liner.
It's fair. I agree.
I was thinking about putting Kotkaniemi, but like he had a pretty good first season, and I was just wondering if maybe it's just a sophomore slump. We see it all the time,
I
right?
think he's
But
just unrefined, like super unrefined.
I
yeah,
don't think he's ready for the NHL.
it
No.
may also be that, but like he might come back next year and play amazing. So I'm just gonna wait on him. But
Yeah.
I do think that he really had a bad season this year. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to give this one a Carey Price. Sadly, really.
Elbo's
Is it
gonna
really
kill
sad?
you.
I of course I'm sad because he helps Canada beat America all the time. You know.
True.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I just
I would like to take a point to point out to whoever our guy is. Oh, I want to stay there. Don't you edit it. My carry price is larger than Quarles' carry price.
Ooh.
what? I'm editing by the way. So
Oh.
Oh, I'm talking about editing the. I'm talking about Siakam when he edits the. I don't want him to change the graphics. I'm looking at the graphics right now.
Oh.
Ooh.
okay. Well. Anyways. Yeah, I love Carey Price. He is obviously he used to be a really good goalie, the best goalie in the league by far, not even close. But was it his injury in 2017, 2018? I'm guessing, right?
His injury was in 2017-2018 season.
Yeah. So he dropped off big after that.
And
He's,
no, I'm sorry. It was the 2015-2016
Yeah,
year
15,
season. He only
16
played
when
12. He only
oh
played
yeah,
12
12
games.
Yeah. Yeah, so after that, he stopped having his 930 save percentages. Dropped down a bit 2016, 2017. Was that the last? No, maybe. I don't remember. Anyways, 923 save percentage. So it's still good. Um, 900, he dropped off after that. 918, still decent. And now 909 again. And this year, Montreal wasn't even that bad. So,
Squeaked into the play-ins.
yeah. So, you know what?
Price did carry them there, though.
Yeah,
I will
Price
say.
did carry them there. Like, I feel like to be earning that $10.5 million, which I mean, he'd have to be getting a 930 save percentage every single year, right? And he obviously
Have to
hasn't
be winning Stanley
Agreed.
Cups.
and winning Stanley Cups that too. Which I mean
Yeah.
isn't fully
I
his
mean-
fault, but still. But Price, he needs to first of all, he needs to just start playing better, and second of all, Montreal
Yeah.
needs to get it together in front of him to be able to get that team far into the playoffs because Price is more than capable of being the best goalie in the world still and carrying them through that playoff run. Just need to make sure that he has something in front of him to be able to carry there, right?
Yeah.
But from the last couple seasons, that doesn't really reflect how good he is, and he just needs to play better. That's all I can say.
I also have carry price. I don't. I mean, unless you put up 930, I agree. Unless you put up 930 every year, there is no reason at all to pay a goalie, in my opinion, more than $8 million
Yeah.
at all. I mean, that's even $8 million's a ton. I really think the max that goalie should be paid is coming around the 7.25 range.
Yeah.
And that's the match. And I'm talking about that's better that'd be one of the best. That'd be a top 5
Was it-
goalie.
Yeah.
And if
I
you're
don't-
signing a
Top
goalie to
five.
a high contract,
You
I
expect them
I
to
wouldn't
win.
do it. I mean, not only that, but I wouldn't do it more than 4 or 5 years. And they do not need to be in their 30s. Bobrovsky.
And I'm a butt in on that a bit too. I know that this like now goalies shouldn't really be paid that much, but I still want to say goalies are the most important player on the ice. They
I
dictate the game.
totally agree. They
Yeah.
can totally swing a game like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you look. I am a Washington fan, but if you, I think this is a great point. You look at that series between Washington and Vegas in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure where that was going until Holtby puts up that stupid save he never should have gotten
And
with
helps
the
them win.
paddle, and I felt like there was 2 or 3 more games after that. I think that was in like game 2.
Game 2 or
And
3.
Yep.
It was game 2 or 3, and it just felt like the Knights weren't in it for the rest of the series.
Because I feel like that killed their confidence.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it killed that game. That was a game. If they scored that, they would have won. They're like, oh god, I think it was game 2, and then they just didn't win anymore. And the
Yeah.
games were, while the score looked close, I mean, you could see it on the ice. It was a totally different. I mean, the caps were all over it.
Mm-hmm.
Goalies do make a difference. But that goalie was only getting paid $5 million.
Which is perfect amount for
amount for
a goalie of his caliber at the time.
Yeah, and it wasn't a long contract. I think goalies are one of the positions where you can't be handing out long-term contracts.
Yeah.
Because that can go sideways in the most bizarre way possible. That's the most unpredictable position in sport.
Yeah.
Because it's ridiculous. So 10 million for what was it, 10 years?
Something like that.
10 years?
Crazy deal.
It was a long-term deal.
It was a long term.
How many years he got left?
Let me check.
You can just start yours, bro.
Well, I have Overrated. He hasn't even played for them yet.
6
but,
years.
I got the man, the myth, the legend, Josh Anderson.
Oh.
I don't think he's overrated by fans. I think the fans hate him. But I think he's overrated by management and by Mark Bergevin. He got paid, was 5.5 million for 7 years?
Yep.
And he's
crazy like that.
Inconsistent and unproven. And you look at his Corsi and his Fenwick, I think they're both under 50 for the past 2 years. And I think that long-term deal is really going to hurt them in the future when they need to sign, Nick Suzuki and KK if he turns out.
And just one thing, first of all, I don't understand why they got out and they went out and got Josh Anderson. I heard a rumor that Domi wanted a lot of money, but Domi only got paid like 5.3 million, which is less than Josh Anderson. And I consider Domi the way better player, and the fact that Montreal gave up a pick with Maxim, I don't get the deal at all. Still, I'm still mind boggled about it.
Yeah.
Well, these next two teams should go very quickly. I think we're all in agreement on a lot of stuff, except for well, you'll see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we should all talk about our underrated pick for the Ottawa Senators, Mr. Brady Tkachuk.
Yes.
And man, have I got the craziest stat. And I love grit. But damn, 303 hits in 71 games played this year is stupid crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
And I think I feel like that's at least worth like 15 points.
And he consistently puts up 40 plus points.
Yeah.
And
he's 2 years, and he did everything the same those 2 years, except increased his block shots, increased his takeaways, and, nearly doubled the amount of hits he put on the ice.
Yeah. And as a Suns fan, I watch him every night, and I see him how he plays. He likes to go close to the net and cause havoc, which he does extremely well. And I think he'll become like a model power forward for the league.
Yeah. And and to be honest, I don't think Brady's that big of a guy for a power. He's a modern day power forward.
Yeah.
6'3", 196. So pretty big.
He also has good skating.
But I'm saying he's not like you look at him and you look at what's another big power forward in the league? You look at Taylor Hall. You look at
Taylor Hall's a power forward.
Tom Wilson, I'd say,
he
is
was
a very good comparable.
Taylor Hall, a few years ago, was a power forward.
Tom Wilson is
definitely a power forward.
And their stats were almost the exact same this year, except Brady had more hits, I think.
Yeah, Brady had about 40 more hits. So are you saying, okay, all right, I'm going to throw that in your face in a little bit.
I also think that
when we get to the Leafs.
I also think that Brady's the best Tkachuk. So
I totally agree with that.
He's not afraid to drop them when he needs to.
But he's not an absolute dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a big kicker.
And I want to give an
ahead.
honorable mention to Connor Brown.
Yes.
This
Connor
guy
Brown
is amazing, man.
Yeah, especially for a guy who came out the Caps farm.
Yeah.
I cannot, he will always be the little leprechaun from Toronto, but holy crap, man, he is amazing. I am sad that we had to give him up in the Zaitsev trade.
That was a good trade for both teams.
At least you don't have Zaitsev.
Yeah, it was
True,
required.
Zaitsev is god-awful.
Okay, can we also look at where was that chart you sent, Shay, for Zaitsev?
What? Do you want me to send it again?
Yes.
If you go into the into the search bar of our thing and just
You can
do
look for
Oh yeah, I
images,
found it.
that's how I'm looking at all of our stuff here.
It's oh my god. His war value is negative 172,500. What
Where is
the
it?
hell, man?
Yeah,
I
it's
can't
bad.
even, man. I just can't believe how bad this guy is. You know what? It took Connor Brown to give it up, and I mean, it makes sense that it took that much. But I still miss him. It would have been amazing.
It's basically saying that you should pay this guy to not be on the ice.
Yeah.
Just not even be in the building. He's bad. He's bad luck.
Yeah.
The crazy thing with Zaitsev is that he had 40 points in his rookie season. He's like, oh, this guy's gonna be amazing. He was playing with
And then
Riley
he
and stuff,
turns
and then
just absolute crap.
absolute
Yeah.
crap.
Also,
Well-
I'd like to point out that Chris Tierney was really close for me for an underrated player.
Chris Tierney too,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'll let you guys talk about your overrated pick. I'll keep my mouth shut.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So for my overrated player, first of all, I want to dive into his cap hit because I think this is kind of important for the basis of my argument. So the player is Colin White, selected 21st overall in 2015, so 5 years ago. Getting paid 4.75 for the next 6 years, and I mean, for a while he was touted to be, the Sens' future number one center, of course. But I mean, he really hasn't showed it at all. I'll pull up his stats here. So in 61 games this year, only put up 23 points. I mean, that was the first year of his huge contract, and that's
Yeah.
severely underwhelming. And I mean, his advanced stats are actually pretty decent at 52, but I mean, a couple years ago he had 40. Then he just fell right down to 23. I think he'll rebound, especially for all the moves the Sens made. Of course, they brought in Dadanov. Tim Stutzel is going to come in this year. They brought in Austin Watson, of course, Matt Murray, but it just wasn't a good year for Colin White. Right now the contract is looking a bit harsh, but I think he'll come back, and his two-way game is good, 50% face-off wins, and
I think that the loss of Mark Stone really hurt him.
Yeah.
And I think mostly what happened this year, I'm a fan of him, obviously. I do think he's overrated, but what happened this year, I think, one, he was injured, which obviously not good. And two, I think his confidence really got shot down because he wasn't producing as much. And if you looked at his play in the last 15, 20 games, he looked a lot better, and it looked like he had gained some of that back, and he was putting up more points too.
Yeah, you know what? He is a solid two-way player, and I do think he will pull back, but this year just was not good for him.
Yeah.
Weeds?
All right.
Oh god.
I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this.
I'm ready.
All right. My pick is Ron Hainsey. No, I'm just kidding. It's I only said that because I meant to click on the Ron Hainsey to pull up the stat. I meant to put Brandstrom, and it just went right to Hainsey.
Brandstrom, man.
All right, so my pick is Eric Brandstrom. And the only reason why I have this is we know nothing about this kid other than he may be a good player.
He will be a good player.
He will be a good player.
He's amazing.
He has what, 35, we have 33 games sample size.
Look at his AHL though.
It's totally different. Let's put Ryan Reeves in the AHL and see how many goals he gets.
I know, but he's a lot younger, and he's
He's like
But
23.
He's a defenseman.
I know he's a defenseman.
And a small, undersized defenseman at that.
he's
Exactly.
He's
He's like 5'9".
He's what a lot of people consider to be the possible modern day, I wouldn't say right now, but the future modern day defenseman, where it's speed, good stick. I just don't know. I don't believe the hype. That's me.
I watched him play in person, and I will say he has a lot.
That's not fair. I live in the South. There are no good hockey games down here.
Yeah, I know.
You want me to do watch the? I did watch a Thrashers game once. That was pretty depressing.
Well, I watched Branson in person, and he made a lot of jumps in the rush. I think the main thing with him is, finding his game into NHL. Like, he has the skills. He just needs to translate it over.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think Brandstrom, it just needs a year. He's going to be an
I
amazing
don't
player.
think that we should worry about him. If he does come in this year, whenever that season starts and it's god awful, then I think that's when he should start getting a little concerned. But as of right now, I do think that he'll bounce back and become extremely solid for Ottawa.
All right. Well, we all agree on our underrated for Tampa that's coming up, and then we can beat on Shea for picking a terrible overrated player. How's that?
Yep.
All right. Anthony Chiarelli. Fire away. Great player. If he really wants to be a true star, I think he's got to leave. Tampa Bay. And I just don't think there's enough with the great contracts that are there. I don't think there's gonna be enough room for him. And I think he could be a stifled talent by the time he gets a chance to get out of there.
And the thing about him is that he's a great two-way player. Almost cracked top 3 in Selkie votes. I mean, the kid is totally not going to 23. His offensive game keeps getting better, and that's going to grow with his defensive game. And he's going to – I think that Tampa Bay should make a trade soon to keep this guy because who knows? He could be – I'm not saying he will be, but he could be another Patrice Bergeron where his offensive game is great and he's one of the best two-way centers in the league.
Yeah, was he playing second and third line minutes this year?
He's playing third line because Johnson.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's gone,
he's
by
still
the way.
playing 8. He still played 18 minutes. Played 18 minutes a game this year, though.
He's also a third-round pick too, and just the fact that he's this good for a third-round pick is crazy.
Like, I don't think he'll be as good as Bergeron because Bergeron's amazing, but like,
he'll be closer.
I think he's a Krejci. I think he's that guy you don't think about as being a fantastic player. But I'm saying like that kind of mentality of how people see him. I mean, he's not going to be the best because when it comes to two-way players in the league, all you ever hear about is like the top 2 best two-way players in the league, and you never hear about the rest of them.
I think he'll be a guy. Job. I think he'll be a guy that goes unnoticed only because he doesn't make any mistakes.
Yeah,
and
he doesn't make
really good.
Take 53
the Toronto media would hate this kid.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Well, the Toronto fans would love him. Please come here.
Okay.
All right, Shay, do you want to explain yourself first, or do you want us to talk first?
Yeah, let's
I'll let you guys go first, then I'll go.
All right, Ryan McDonough is an old fart who was never even that good, in my opinion, on the Rangers. Never liked him. He sucks.
I don't think
he's out of the Metro.
He sucks.
Get him out of here.
He doesn't suck.
He's bad.
He's bad.
He sucked now.
So was Callahan. They were both overrated. I mean, I really feel bad that Callahan did not get his cup. I feel terrible about that. I think everybody should. This guy got screwed by just a terrible disease.
Callahan's on LTIR in Ottawa right now.
Yeah, I think he's officially retired.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, no, but he's still in. Yeah, but anyways.
But I don't know why he's been a Norris person. Getting Norris votes like 5 years.
He got Norris votes last year.
38 points in 82 games, and he's a Norris vote. What?
I mean, yeah. I think this guy was overhyped. Honestly, at a time where I think New York was pretty good in those or in the early 2010s was a pretty good team. They weren't bad.
You see when he goes to Tampa, there's the change.
Other than like that one kind of he wasn't he playing with Hedman in 2018-2019, that first full year?
Something like that. Anyways, 7 years at $6.75 million.
That's a brutal contract.
How many years he got left?
7 at 6.75 for third, and he's 31.
He's 31. I mean, God, what a terrible. I mean,
he's going to get bought out. I think that he will be bought out within 5-6 years.
I mean, we could honestly I'm putting this out there. If anybody wants to hear this, I think a great video coming up would be a contracts that'll be bought out in the next few years.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of stuff coming up.
We got a bunch of ideas coming up for anybody who's wanting to hear our terrible opinions.
All right. So I will
Defend
say
yourself,
this.
sir. Defend yourself.
Okay. I will say this. It was between McDonough and Yanni Gord.
Whoa,
And
it should have been McDonough.
Yep.
I know I failed you guys, but you failed us too, Gweeds. We could have had 100%
No.
for Ottawa, but no, you chose
Brandstrom
was
is the
wrong.
clear choice. You're
No,
trying to
you're
you're
wrong.
hyping up a man
Nope.
who has not even proved
Nope.
himself yet.
You're wrong.
Okay, I'll go.
Yanni
Alright.
Gord has proved himself
No,
again
let me
and
no,
again
no,
and
no,
again.
no. I'll explain.
I'm not saying
Let
he's
him
good.
explain himself. Let him explain himself.
All right. So first off, his rookie year, fantastic, 64 points, solid. The problem I have with him is that he has this huge contract at 6 years at $5 million, and yet ever since he signed that, he's gotten worse. The year when they got swept by Columbus, got 128 points, yet only 48. This year, he's down to 30, and along with that, his defensive numbers are slowly going down. His Corsi on a very good Tampa Bay team was average at 51 apiece. And he's on his third line with actually pretty good players in Tyler Johnson and Alex Cora. The fact that he's declining and the fact that
Look at his
he has
ice time,
an
though.
extension-
I mean, look at his ice time, and if you're defending Tyler Johnson as a pretty good player, I can't even talk.
He's
Look-
not.
Look what he can do with 16 minutes. He can
And,
put up 60
This
Oh.
man had 48 takeaways and 14 giveaways this year.
I'm also not gonna.
Jesus.
I'm also not.
Defensive stats and his face-off
yeah, but I
his
will
face-off is
okay, but also look
fantastic.
at his shooting percentage. His shooting percentage is insane. 18.4 and 60.9 is
Yeah.
not sustainable. And he was at 9% this year, which is actually sustainable. No one shoots 18%. That's Gensel-like numbers, who I had as my overrated player for Pittsburgh.
Look, I'm a.
That's because
Shay,
Gensel gets tap-ins, okay?
Shay, I'm gonna agree with you on the fact that I don't think Gord is as good as people say, but I don't think he's as overrated as McDonough is.
And
Well,
I
between
think I have to agree. I don't think his contract is worth that. I think he's more of a 4 1/4 kind of player, especially
Yeah.
especially for the ice time he's getting.
$4 million.
But for what he's putting on the third line, I don't.
30 points?
Yeah, 30 points isn't amazing, but still, he's okay. You know what? I'm gonna say he's okay, but I do think he's a bit overrated, but I don't think he's nearly as overrated as McDonough is.
But once again, it was between McDonough and
Yeah.
Gord. So, I acknowledge McDonough is really overrated. Don't get me wrong. I almost had him on the list, but just by looking at my point of view, with my points, I just had Gord by a bit.
All right, so now let's talk about the team that's going to cause all the commotion. Everyone's got probably, and I would probably say one of the most polarizing teams in the league, really, and so many different points of view on contracts, players, and how the team is handled, and curses. Lots and lots of curses on this team. Let's talk about Toronto.
Okay, yeah. Shay, you want to start off with your underrated?
All right. So for my underrated, I got better than Tom Wilson,
Ooh.
Mr. Zachary Hyman.
Yes.
I mean, this is a guy that for the past, even since his rookie year, that's been really underlooked around the league. His rookie year, 28 points, which is, by the way, better than the first 3 seasons Tom Wilson had. So there's that. Year after that, went up to 38, got the 40, and now this year in 51 games, got 21 goals and 37 points. And the guy doesn't get the respect he deserves. The guy can hit. He gets in your face. He can play on the power play. He's really good defensively. I mean, look his takeaway to giveaway ratio. It's like he has twice as many takeaways and giveaways, 32-16. He's great in defensive zone, which is why they play him 55% of the time there. His Corsi on, a pretty bad defensive team, 51-51 for Corsi and Fenwick. And, I mean, I think Hyman rarely, if ever, gets a top 6. Correct me if I'm wrong, Coral. Did he play with Kerfoot and Janssen a lot on that third line?
No, he's
He
usually in
played
the
with
top 6.
Tavares, right?
No, he
Really?
plays with Marner and Matthews when he was in, which I want to just touch on. He is the prime player to play with good players. He doesn't have that much skill, but he works hard. He gets good players at the puck.
He's like Gensel with Crosby.
But, yeah.
A lot better,
No,
like way
no.
better.
I know, but I'm just making a comparable there.
All right. I would like to.
Just one more thing about Hyman.
Yeah.
Steal of a contract, $2 million.
Yes,
I would agree with that. Yeah,
Steal.
great contract. Great
Yeah,
contract.
that's true. That's true.
All right, Gweets.
No. I think it's your turn. I'll say my piece about Zach Hyman in a bit.
All right, well, I have William Nylander as underrated.
Oh yeah.
Everyone hates him for whatever reason. He had a
I like
bad year last year. But like, what the hell? Like, he has 59 points in 68 games. This guy was heating up by the end of the year. He did not play on the same line for more than like 20 games this year because of the injuries. He was playing third line center at one point because of the injuries, and he just moved up and down, and he fit in perfectly anywhere he played, and he scored 30 goals for his first time in his career. He had 59 points. He probably would have hit 70, maybe 80 if he heated up by the end, which I think he was heating up.
Mhm.
He played decent. He played pretty decent defensively. He's on a steal of a deal. I don't care what you say. $6.9 million for someone playing this well is a steal. Like,
Yeah.
stop saying trade him for a defenseman. We don't need another Taylor Hall right here, right? This
Yeah.
guy's amazing. People should shut up because he is definitely underrated, and like, I literally have no idea where the trade for a defenseman comes from. Who do you want to trade him for? Adam Larson? Come on, please.
Yeah. And I'd like to add, he's only 23.
Yeah, exactly.
He's young. He has a lot of potential. He's only going to get better. And I do agree with you that the contract is actually pretty decent. I think people are more upset about the negotiations that went on with it,
Yeah.
but I'd say that it's a solid contract for a solid player that can score you some goals and play good defense. As Fenwick this season was, 53.4, which is better than average. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. So my underrated player hasn't played a game for Toronto yet, but I've watched him play a lot in the Metro. I've watched him play a lot with Buffalo, and it's Jimmy Vesey, and I think he's a prime young, good two-way forward player. Somebody you got disagreements with me?
I'm not gonna say he's bad, but first of all, I don't know if he's a great two-way forward. He's more of a sniper. And he is also not that young. He's already 27.
I thought he's 20. Okay, well, I mean, to be fair enough, he came into the league late. In my opinion, he's still young.
He only has 4 seasons under his belt.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot.
He's not a young person. He's a young player.
That's what I mean. Okay, but I think I personally, from what I've seen, he's in my opinion, he's a good two-way player. I think he's got a great shot, and hands down has a great shot. But I personally, from what I've seen, he plays great back checking. He's got a nuisance of a stick, in my opinion. He knows the game pretty well for as little exposures to the league as he has. And I think he's personally a player I enjoy watching. It's Jimmy Vesey for me.
All right. Well, I'm not going to say he's bad at all. Like, I'm happy that this guy's going to be our fourth line, maybe for left winger. Yeah, left winger. So, playing on the fourth line, this guy's way too good to be playing on the fourth line. So, I'm happy about that.
Yeah. He's a great bottom six player.
Bro, did you have Nylander too, I think?
Yep, I already chimed in on him on why I think that he's underrated.
All right, here we go.
Okay. Overrated. I know Quaro and Guiz will get into a heated argument, but I'll start with mine. It won't be the popular choice, but for me, I do have John Tavares as my overrated player. First of all, 11 million. I know that you pay big free agents to come to your city, and of course, hometown boy. But 11 million is steep, especially since you have Marner around 11. Matthews is making like 10.6. You gotta pay Morgan?
The other way around.
You gotta pay Morgan.
Matthews is at 10.4. Marner is at 10.893.
Yeah, so I mean, that's quite a lot of money for those two. Plus, you got to pay Morgan Riley in like what, a year or two.
Two.
And I really don't think that Toronto needed another centerman or another forward. But I mean, that's a discussion for another time. The thing I noticed this year of JT is that he looks slow, especially in the playoffs.
He is slow.
I think he wasn't taking his off-season training seriously.
He is Phil Kessel slow.
He looks just really. I mean, Kessel's kind of fat, so there's that. But I mean, like JT, I mean, 30 years old. Like for the elite player, I wouldn't say elite, but for the very good player he is, just look terrible out there. 60 points in 63 games isn't bad, but for what you're paying him, I mean, it isn't great. 47 giveaways to 35, not what you want your first line center to do. Corsi once again average at 51, and once again that contract, I mean, that money could be going to like other needs. I mean, you have to re-sign Freddie this upcoming year, who I'm actually a huge fan of, but despite all the jokes they make of him, yeah, I'm not a huge fan at all of Tavares' contract and the way he's been playing.
I will admit that the contract is steep, but like you said, he's a UFA. He was gonna get paid $13-14 million. So 11, if you look at that, is actually is low. But this year he definitely had a bad year. I'm not gonna
for sure
go over that. But the year before that, he was amazing, like 47 goals. And then also there's the fact that he I don't know if he's overrated because literally everyone hates him. They hate on him for leaving, being a snake, not playing well this year, not playing well the year before for some reason. So I don't know if he's overrated, but he definitely did not live up to the contract this year. But I don't know about last year.
Horrible contract, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's me. I have Alexander Kerfoot. Now I don't think this player is bad, but I don't know if he's worth his $3.5 million. We were paying Kapanen 3.5, Janssen 3.5. I'd rather have one of those two. He got 28.65 games this year, which I mean is decent, but he's also a pretty decent defensive forward. He's a nuisance. No one likes to play against this guy. He's tiny, but he's annoying. But his production really hasn't been up to snuff with players like Kapanen and Janssen, who could have still been on the team. He's going to be on the third line. He's competing with Thornton and Spezza, seasoned veterans. I do think he'll still have the spot, but I do believe that he is a bit overpaid. He shouldn't be making that much. I do believe that Kapanen or Janssen would have been better. Okay, here's the big one.
All right. So first off, in my opinion, the poor man's Tom Wilson. And I'd like to point out that comment shot about Tom Wilson and his points. Yeah, Zach Hyman played 15, almost 16 minutes in his rookie. He played almost 17 minutes in his true rookie year. Tom Wilson in his rookie year with 82 games played an average of 8 minutes. And he was a good gritty player for us, and he was being developed, and he didn't come into his true role until about 2017, 2018 when he started playing top 6 line minutes. And then he stepped up. He's gotten better and better and better as these past 3 years have come on. Everything about his game has gotten better. I just don't see Zach Hyman as that person who and the reason why I put him as overrated is I hear a lot of hype about him, and I agree. He's a great player to put with talented players. I really agree with that. But I feel like if he's not with talented players, I feel like if you stick him on the third or fourth line, not that I don't think he'll perform up to third or fourth line standards. Not that obviously his numbers will drop because he's playing less time. He's not playing with his talented. But what you would expect from a third line guy, I think he's going to fall below that.
Yeah.
I think he really does work for. I think if you know what I'm trying to say, he's like that 83 overall player, and just to use that sense of terminology, that works great on the top 2 lines, but it's just if he was anywhere else,
He's like a support class.
Yeah. He's just I don't see him as a, but with Tom Wilson, and this is my personal opinion, I feel like you can play him anywhere on the ice and he can still play his game.
Not defense, but
Tom Wilson plays defense.
No, he doesn't.
No, he does not.
Okay,
I just want to
whatever.
see you. I just want to see you.
I will never defend that Washington is a defensive team because they're not.
okay.
All right, but look, first of all, Zach Hyman's an elite penalty killer.
I agree with that. He's a great PKer. I've watched it. It's annoying.
Yeah, and last year he was injured, first of all, but I'll get to that in a second. But before that, he was always top 3 in shorthanded goals, so he's an offensive threat on the PK as well.
Mm-hmm.
He's a quick dude, isn't he?
He is
quick.
fast.
He's fast.
I think that's what makes him deadly on the shorthanded.
Yeah, and first, like you said, he's amazing to play with top line players. He gets them the puck. He works hard. He forechecks, back checks. He's a coach's dream.
He's a good energy player. Yeah.
Yeah, but he also played on the third line for a lot of time, really, because the Leafs are trying more skilled players like Janssen and Kapanen on those top 2 lines, Kerfoot too. So he played on the third line and he did well. He carried that third line, to be honest. He was playing really good defense. He was scoring points. He's getting a lot of assists, and this year was his best year so far. He came back 51 points. He had 51 games. He had 37 points, 20 goals. If he had a full season, he would have hit 60 for sure. He would have likely hit 70. He would have hit 30 goals. He would have, if he was still playing with Matthews and Marner, they probably would have hit 100 points, one of them. He's literally the best player that's not to play with top liners. And he's also paid basically $2 million for this guy is a steal. He said he's going to take a discount for his next contract coming up. So he plays really good defense. I honestly can go on and on about this guy. There is not one thing bad about him except that he's just he's not as skilled as your average first liner.
I think, well, he's my overrated for one. I just think this was mentioned before, but I just don't see him as having a huge amount of skill. I think he really benefits from playing with people with skill, which is why I think he's regarded so highly in Toronto. But I think you put him on a line with no skill and he doesn't do nearly as good, and I don't think he's nearly as good as a player.
But well, I just said that he does play well.
I know, but I just on a team other than Toronto. Put him on another team other than Toronto, and he's not going to do well.
Put him on somebody else's third line. And you can't say Tampa. That's not fair. Because that whole team is stacked. But you
put him on Minnesota or like a mid-tier team, and he's not going to do nearly as well.
Well, obviously.
I think he'd go great on a. Honestly, I think the perfect team for him is really.
Wow.
I was going to say the Islanders.
Hyman?
Yeah.
I mean, sure, he plays defense if that's what you mean, but he's better than Wilson in the fact that Wilson's playing on the top 2 lines with Backstrom, Kuznetsov,
Ovi, Vrana.
Yeah, but when he plays the wing, he's playing the wing with Ovi and Vrana on the other end. Who are you going to pass it to, Ovi and Vrana or Wilson? That's not fair.
Yeah, but he's passing it to them.
No, he's not passing it to them. It's Kuzi and Backy that are passing those. Wilson is the guy who's creating space. He's usually in front of the net. I promise you, I watch every single game. He's not the one making those passes. He's usually making the breakout passes because if you watch a lot of the games, 9 times out of 10, it's Backstrom and Kuznetsov who are breaking it into the zone almost every time, and they're setting it up low in the corner. And then there's most of Wilson's goals are usually garbage ones. His assists come off bounces or just maybe a quick off the rush kind of play and a bounce off. He's the guy who's there to create space, and that's why I like him. And I think that's why he's worth it. Well, also he gets some stupid goals. I think he had like a twist around slapper that went 5-hole from the half boards, which I didn't get that at all, but I took it. He has some dumb goals.
His shooting percentage is so high. Like his good years, he's shooting at 16,
That's
17.
unsustainable.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
in
well,
his-
I think it's because he's waiting for the right moment, and
Well,
because when he gets
what?
the shot, he does. No, what I'm saying is, he doesn't take a shot he's not sure of because there's a better shot on the ice almost 98% of the time.
that's
Yeah.
only because he's playing with Ovechkin,
Ovi,
I agree.
Kuznetsov. So it's
I
not
agree.
him getting the open. It's not him creating the space for the open shot. It's the others creating the space for him to take the open shot, and it's an easy one. That's why he scores. And to be honest, he's still not scoring that much.
He's not taking that many shots.
Let's see, 154.
Yeah, but
Hyman
I
took 106. 130 this year. Hyman took 140 last year, and he played less games.
He puts.
and Hyman
rebounds.
is more
He
efficient
puts-
in his scoring.
Yes.
I mean, we're never gonna agree on this.
This is gonna go on forever.
Yeah, it totally would.
This is a whole other episode on the podcast. We could do
Yeah, this would be like a 2-hour
a
episode.
player
But
comparison.
I will concede that
episode.
I'll take Hyman over Oshie. I'll concede that.
Oh yeah,
I
we
think
all
Oshie
know.
over Wilson.
Yeah, I would take Oshie over Wilson
Whoa.
too.
I would no. I would take Wilson over Oshie.
I would take Wilson over Oshie any day, dude. Right now, I would trade Oshie for a pack of cigarettes and a small
No,
child.
I wouldn't trade him for. No, I'd trade him for like a second and a decent prospect.
Hyman is, and by the way, Hyman is not like Wilson at all. Hyman's
Yeah.
comparable
Hyman's
with
not a
Brendan
power
Gallagher.
forward, right?
No, he's not. He's a two-way
Yeah,
forward.
Hyman gets in your face.
I just see him
No.
as I'm not saying he's at the same playing style. I just see him as the same kind of a. Oh, that's a. I don't,
The main difference between these two players is that Wilson's dirty. He's been suspended. Hyman is like a Gallagher. He gets into your face. He's a pain in the ass to play against, but he
Also,
doesn't get suspended.
Yeah,
Wilson
Hyman.
had one dirty season.
What?
It was the big dirty season that a lot of people were seeing it as the 2018-2019 season. That was when he had no injuries that whole year. 63 games coming off that. And the 2019-2018, I mean that was I mean look at it.
Where's the
He
penalty
was-
minutes? I want to find the penalty minutes stat right here.
That
minutes?
year.
No, for every year, and I just compare them.
His biggest year was 187 and he played 78 games.
Okay, I'm trying to look for Hyman's. Hockey.
Hyman
Well, I
doesn't
was just
have a
going
lot of
off.
stats
I was just
according-
going off. I thought we were talking about if he's dirty or not.
Well, I mean,
Hyman's
if you're,
worse.
if you're taking penalties, that usually means you're doing something that's not.
Can I just say that Hyman also writes children's books, and I don't know if that's a thing or not.
Yeah, that is. He does write books.
He writes books for kids.
Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
and Wilson looks like a lumberjack. Those are two different. I mean, that's two different personalities.
Okay, yeah. So Wilson is an absolute goon. He just takes penalties, sitting in the box for 93 minutes, 128 minutes, 187 minutes, 133 minutes.
Yeah, but
Doesn't
he
get-
takes a
We're
lot.
gonna be here forever, aren't we?
Oh yeah, I would gladly be here forever because because look at this. Hyman takes 23 minutes, 65 minutes compared to over
I
100.
think this is half our episode.
I will gladly make it half our episode because I know I'm right here. Okay.
I mean, that's fine. Clearly we're
everything's
we're not gonna
everything's
agree.
objective here.
Everything is
We're-
subjective.
Okay. Yeah, that is fair. That is fair.
But I mean, and it doesn't help the fact that I think really Wilson's one of my top 5 players in the
I
in the league
also
right now.
think that
In the
the
league?
fact that
Yeah, favorite
we-
players to watch
we-
play.
Oh,
you're,
oh,
you're
I thought
a
you said
Capitals
playing,
fan, right, Queeds?
Huh?
You're a Caps fan, right?
I'm a massive Caps fan.
Coral, you're a huge Toronto fan, right?
that I am.
So there's ginormous bias from each side
Okay.
colliding here.
definitely.
But Shea is the biggest Leafs hater here by a
Yeah.
country mile, and he thinks that Hyman's better than Wilson.
That's I understand that. That's fair.
Do we even get the Bruz overrated player?
Yes.
Yeah, he also has Hyman for some reason.
He has Hyman. He
Oh.
talked about it. It's just it's been Wilson versus Hyman for the
Hyman.
last like 10 minutes.
How about we put up
Probably
a
longer
poll?
than that, like 20.
How many
about we
shots?
put up
Wait,
a
wait,
poll
wait.
in Tundra right now?
Can I,
Let's
wait,
put up
how
a
many
poll in
how many
Tundra.
shots? How many shots has Wilson or not shots? How many shots has Wilson blocked?
Where is that stat?
Let me see. I'm
Because
trying to find
Hyman
that.
has blocked
He's-
42 shots this season.
Oh, he was injured,
Wilson
first of all.
blocked 58.
Yeah,
They block
'cause-
about the same amount of shots.
Okay,
yeah,
because I was gonna say if one player had a higher stat, then that would probably be.
Well, and then Hyman blocked 23 this year.
'cause he
Okay,
was injured.
right-
23 and 51 games versus 58 and 68 games.
Wait,
Okay,
he didn't
so-
block 23 shots. How much did you say, bro? 40 something?
42. This is what this says.
Let me see.
I got
Okay.
23 on a.
No, that's his penalty minutes.
I'm looking at BLK blocks.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm
23.
looking at blocks against. Hyman has 42 shots blocked against.
All right, so I sent the question in the Tundra right now, and so far a lot of people are saying Tom Wilson, which I don't agree with. So there's just some more input
He's a
on that.
coping Leafs fan.
Okay, so it's official. Shay's definitely a closet Leafs fan. It's
No,
official.
I'm not.
Yeah. But just real quick, so we can get some backstory. Just a little bit. How did you become a big Leafs fan?
He
Oh,
probably
shit.
lives in Toronto.
I mean, yeah, but like, how did you know? Like, I know people who live in Toronto who aren't Leafs fans.
Oh, well,
Like, what was that moment you're like, oh, I'm a Leafs fan?
Well, okay, so I was 4 years old maybe, and I watched the Boston
Jesus.
I watched the Boston versus Toronto game. My dad was watching. He knows nothing about hockey, by the way. At that time, he knows nothing about hockey, and for some reason he's watching it. And I see Boston lost to Toronto 3-2 that year.
What
And-
year is this?
Oh, that was 2008 maybe.
Okay, wow.
So when Toronto was god awful.
Yeah, they were god awful, and they still beat Boston that year. That game, sorry, I watched that game. I didn't know it was Toronto at the time, obviously, because I'm really young.
You
But
just
then
see
the
there
next
the
year-
blue and white.
Yeah, the blue and white, and then I keep on remembering. I'm watching the games. I always see Toronto because obviously I live in Markham, which is near Toronto. And so I see that on Hockey Night in Canada all the time on Sportsnet, whatever. So I keep on seeing Toronto games, and it doesn't matter if I'm. And at that time, I don't know, obviously, winning and losing, but you just once you see a team that many times, it's kind of hard not to want them to win, right?
Sounds
Especially
like
if it's the
brainwashing.
brainwashing. What? It's my hometown team, right? I gotta love my hometown team.
Yeah.
Well, I grew up in Georgia, and I hated the Georgia team. I'm glad they're gone. I think Winnipeg deserves that team very much.
Definitely.
I think there's
Atlanta
I
is
think they're a
not
great
hockey
city.
Atlanta is not a hockey city.
It's not.
It could be, but like the way that they did it was.
Believe it or not, Atlanta is a hockey city. It's just the people who kept owning the Flames and the Thrashers did such a terrible job. So I always there's a team in Atlanta called for the East Coast Hockey League.
Yeah.
Called the Atlanta Gladiators.
They've good
They
management.
would still do a lot of times. Will do a lot more tickets than the Thrashers would. They had a better outreach, better connection with the community. At the time, they were known as the Gwinnett Gladiators.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I went to a game I think last year before COVID ended, fully sold out.
Wow.
But I grew up. I became I liked hockey as a kid. I grew up on the Augusta Lynx, which is another East Coast hockey league that died, and then I had the Augusta Riverhawks, which was an SPHL hockey team that died. Both teams won a championship in their first year and only lasted for like 5 years.
Don't you have the Atlanta Gladiators in the ECHL right now?
It's the Atlanta Gladiators in the ACHL right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
It used to be Gwinnett. But I grew up watching D3 and everything. I grew up loving hockey, and because of Disney, I love the Mighty Ducks.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I remember the specific moment. I think it was well before the Pittsburgh the Pittsburgh woes. It was a couple years before that. I think it was that terrible year against Montreal. Whatever. Anyway, I think it was like 2010, 2011. I was watching a game. It's really hard to get hockey on TV, down in Georgia. I was watching a Caps game, and I saw Ovi come off the bench, and within 3 seconds,
You fell in love.
well, basically because he came off the bench, took about 3 strides into the offensive zone, let off a one-timer, and it was just bar down and over. And I was like, damn, that is a sexy shot. And I started looking up highlights. I was like, God, this dude's awesome. And then for the first few years, I was just a big Ovi fan. And then as I grew up, I became older. I just fell in love with the entire team. And that's just how I become such a big. Believe it or not, I used to hate Wilson his first few years in. I really did. And I think like for first 3 years, I think it was, those terrible years where he just never played, I hated him because he never did anything. He wouldn't even get suspended back then. I mean, at least do something. But yeah, I mean, I fell in love with the team just over a single shot. And that's when I became a big Caps fan.
All right.
Well, I guess if we're all putting our input in, you know, a lot of people just probably know this by now, but of course, I lived in the States for 5 years in Missouri, so basically
Fake
zero
Canadian.
yeah. So basically zero hockey coverage unless you lived in St. Louis, and even then, half the people probably wouldn't even know the Blues existed until now. Recently, of course.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I bet they know now.
Until now, but you know, so I moved to Edmonton when I was 7 or 8, and the first thing I see,
Nailed Yakupov.
yeah, no, I'm not even kidding. It was a billboard saying the future sniper of the Edmonton Oilers, Nail Yakupov. And yeah, basically Nail Yakupov got me into hockey. So there's
Jeez,
that.
the only good thing he's done.
Do we consider Shea being a fan of hockey a good thing?
Because of Nail Yakupov? Oh
He
my
had the
God.
greatest celly ever, though. That was hilarious.
That was awesome.
Okay, two good things he's done. Gotten Shea into hockey and then the Selly.
Yeah.
Other than that, irrelevant.
Honestly, horrible. No, he's not irrelevant. He's the biggest joke of a first overall
He's
pick
relevant.
Now,
ever.
he's
for
the
all the wrong
second
reasons.
worst first overall pick. We all know who the worst is.
Okay.
Okay, wait. I think we're getting a bit
Off track.
topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is probably a good time to end it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That we will
Everyone
do.
have a great evening.
Yeah, I'll see you guys
it's-
later.
It's been a
Yeah.
lot of fun, man.
All right.
Yes,
So I
sir.
hope you guys enjoy the podcast. So yeah.
Stay tuned for the next episode.
Oh yeah.
And the next
Justin
episode's gonna be big, by the way.
The
It's
Emerson one's
huge.
already happened, guys.
What?
It has? Oh yeah, it has.
Oh, that it has. That it has.
It hasn't happened for us, but
Well,
it's happened
actually,
for you.
now technically you do have something else big planned. So.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
that is
that-
true.
Oh
We
yeah.
do have
keep
a
that
bunch
under
of
wraps.
And R.I.P. Dale Weiss for leaving our homie out to dry.
Oh poor
Alright.
man, that's awful.
All right. Have a good night.
Yeah.
All right, see you guys later.
All right, see you
It's been
guys.
fun. Good night.